Building meaningful connections begins with asking the right questions, and the same thing applies when you're qualifying a lead or getting to know someone new. Welcome to Love is Sandler. Today we'll be diving into the love funnel. Joining us today is Sandeep, one of our master sales trainers here at Sandler in Miami. Welcome, Sunny.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. So I'm going to go in with the first question. Sunny, what's your go-to icebreaker when meeting someone new in prospecting or in dating?
Using like a pattern interrupt. Yeah. What's a pattern
What does that
interrupt?
look like?
It's like something that someone isn't expecting. So, for
Mhm.
example, when you're going on a sales call, most people ask, "How are you today?" Or, "Hey, what did you do this past weekend?" And those are like just super generic questions. And
Yeah,
in
boring
reality,
filler questions.
yeah, and like people just they know you don't actually care, right? You're just trying to talk about something. Instead, what I'll do is like just perform a little bit of research on the prospect and go on their LinkedIn and see if I can draw some sort of connection. I've got a sales call right after this. My connect question is going to be, "Hey, just a quick question before we get started. I noticed you were a software developer. How'd you get into sales?" And this person's just going to talk about that experience in the past, and now I can evaluate and understand how does he want to be communicated with.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to do your research prior. How would you apply that to like dating? Would you do the same thing with like their dating profiles, or would you go on their Facebook and look up if they have any cool
Ugh,
hobbies?
I'm not really a fan of online, to tell you the truth.
So what, you just pattern interrupt them in person and ask your date just really fun questions that they're not used to?
I think if you're in person, it's like it's more so improv. It's just like what's coming to your head at that moment in time that you can stir up some sort of conversation.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's jump into the next question. Can you share a moment when asking a question led to an unexpected insight, either in sales or in a date?
Well, I can't really say it's either or, but I'll tell you the story if that's okay. I was on a road show in California, and the way that we set up our road shows was we would go to California, but because it's so spread out and big, we would go from like south to north. It's a Friday. I literally flew from San Diego to SF, and my best friend AJ picked me up from the airport, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna go meet up with some of my buddies." So I says, "Okay, great." So he takes me to like this weird place where like you have to go up and you have to wait like into a lobby. So you get an elevator, you wait in a lobby, and like a bunch of people are there. I'm like, "Dude, what are we doing?" There's like
This is at a
bar
road
there.
show?
This
Or
is
this is
like
just
on
you
a
guys
Friday
going
night.
out?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
this is like a Friday night. I flew in and got there late in the evening, and so I'm there for like the weekend, right? We get up there and I'm just chilling with my buddy, and we see these two girls, and like one of them's like swiping, and I'm like, "What are you doing swiping at a bar?" That was like my question, just, and the person was
Yeah.
like, "Well, most people don't come up and like start talking to me," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Well, what are your conversations like there?" And she was like, "Oh, they're terrible. Guys don't ask enough questions."
Mm,
From there, it was just like, well, listen, I'm trained, right? You just start asking questions and getting to know someone. And the
yeah.
person was like, "Wow, you ask really good questions."
So you kind of got a date by teaching
No,
her
I
how
just
to ask
left.
good
I just
questions.
left
Oh,
after that, to tell you the
you're like,
truth.
bye. Gave
Yeah.
her a mini training course. All right, so next question. What's an example of a powerful question you asked that completely changed the direction of a conversation?
Questions are all about controlling the conversation, right? And sometimes when you ask a question, it can get completely derailed. So part of what you have to do is navigate that conversation with the right question.
Yeah. So did you ever have an experience where you use that, whether when prospecting or on a date, and it completely shifted where you thought it was going? Could you give an example?
Yeah, for sure. Depends who you're talking to, right? Whether you're a guy or you're a girl, it doesn't matter. Everyone wants to be felt like you're understood, and the only way that you can make someone feel like you understand them is by asking the right questions, right? Something that you should ask is a tough and challenging question. I mean, if you're talking to a prospect, for example, don't ask a generic question. Ask something that will get deep into their business and understand what might the issue be. You could do the same thing in dating too. "Hey, tell me about some of
Yeah.
your biggest struggles in dating right now." And then you just shut up
Yeah.
and listen, right? In
Just find
sales,
their pains.
right. In sales, it could be, "Tell me about, when you think about let's say you're selling software. When you think about your current processes right now today, what's currently manual?" And then you shut up and listen, and they'll
Yeah.
tell you about all the manual processes that they have, and then you just dive a little bit deeper.
I love that. Can you give an example of using an open-ended question on a date to go beyond surface level small talk?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, open-ended questions start with what or how, right? Just form a question just using those two words. Most people, they use close-ended questions, such as like, "Do you like this food?" You're gonna get a yeah response versus,
Mhm.
hey, what are some of the top 3 cuisines that you like? and you can shut up and you can listen.
Yeah, just have them roll with it. What's one type of question our listeners can start asking, whether on a sales call or on a first date, to spark a deeper connection?
It goes back to my pattern interrupt example, right? Like, do a little bit of research on your prospect and try and draw something from like their LinkedIn profile that can
Hmm.
allow you to ask a smart question and get them to start talking about themselves. Ultimately, that's what people like to do. They love to talk about themselves. I mean, like, just start paying attention to them. So, like, if it was you, I'd say, Juby, where'd you get that necklace?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You'll just start talking about the experience of where you got that necklace, and then I can say, hey, what's your jewelry closet like? Right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite like prized possession of that? And you'll just start
Mhm.
answering these questions and telling me.
Yeah. As a sales trainer, what would you do if you ask these open-ended questions and they still give you a whole lot of nothing? What's your
Depends. That
next
means
step?
that means I haven't done a good enough job gaining trust from that individual, right? And
Hmm.
so part of what you have to do is you actually have to call that out, and but do it in a vulnerable way. Hey, listen, Juvie, I've been asking you a lot of questions. I'm noticing there's not a lot of depth that I'm getting, and so that's my fault. I've not
Hmm.
done a good enough job getting some trust from you. Hey, are you comfortable having an open and transparent conversation with me? It's the only way I know how to help. And if you aren't, it's totally fine.
Yeah, nurturing them, making them comfortable, and hopefully they open up a little bit more.
Exactly.
Perfect. I love that. Sandler teaches us how to use questions to uncover the prospect's pain. How do you think this applies to uncovering what someone truly values in a relationship?
I'm the wrong person to ask that question. Don't ask me that question. Let's move to another question.
Okay, that was actually the last one. Do you want to give any final tips or tricks when dealing with a prospect in your love life with asking good
I don't have one,
questions?
Juby. So like I'm the wrong person to ask these questions to. I'm better for you to ask these questions about sales.
This is Love is Sandler. You have to give both. All right, anyways, thanks so much for joining us today, Sunny. You did great. You gave us really valuable tips. We'll see you next time. What's the best question you've ever asked to have some meaningful conversations? Drop it below in the comments. We'd love to hear them. Interested in getting more information about sales training? Make sure to check out the link in our description. You can crash one of our workshops completely free. We also have some goodies, insights, and information for you. I'll see you at the next one. Thanks for joining.